businesses getting started. The most recent award was just in August. The Triangle Business Journal named me one of the 100 most influential people in business in the eastern part of the state for the creation of electronic commerce, electronic notary, because if you're going to do business internationally or across state boundaries and documents have to have a certain elevated status and you want to do it electronically, you've got to have that ability. So embracing e-commerce and bringing state government into e-commerce, as well as my mentoring of women in business. Those were the things that they said in that article. The Secretary of State's office is like the Registers of Deeds office and parts of the clerk's office combined into one for all 100 counties. We have huge databases. Banks and other lenders file their documents with us if they take collateral in, say, artist studio equipment or dental equipment or floor planning for an appliance store or a car lot or just furniture store. All of those kind of documents used to be filed with the Register of Deeds prior to the year 2000, and they didn't want them. So I got all of those. And so we are huge database managers. I take pride in the efficiency and the openness of our databases. But I'm also a cop. I may not look like it, but I am a cop. We bust people who are selling counterfeit trademark goods. We're the trademark registrar and the trademark protector for North Carolina. So when you see something that you know is not a real product and it's got a cheap price on it, I'd advise you to leave it alone. What we're seeing now, the product du jour, is fake perfumes. We're seeing women with contact dermatitis, and the perfume that they bought at the flea market or at a store that's not the kind of store where you would find Chanel or whatever these high-end brand names are made with contaminated water, bacterial-laden products, animal urine, that's the usual stabilizer in those kinds of things. So can you imagine putting that kind of unsanitary stuff on you, or even pulling it into your lungs? Those are the kinds of things that we are protecting consumers on. Sometimes it's what pretends to be Ray-Ban sunglasses that has no UV protection in it at all, has no shatterproof resistance in it at all. Sometimes it's appliances that have fake UL tags on it. We think that's the gold standard in electrical product. I have an extension cord that I carry around that's been kind of just wadded up and plugged in, and it's melted together, and then it burst into flame. Those are the kind of things that you don't want in your house. We don't want in this state, and I feel very good about busting up those rings. I feel very good also about sending people like Bernie Madoff, because he's not the first nor the last Ponzi scheme guy, even though he's our newest citizen of North Carolina. We've got a lot of Madoff wannabes here in North Carolina. We're routinely getting 10, 15, 20 years prison time for those folks, and I'm pleased to tell you that my law enforcement officers work with the federal law enforcement officers, and my lawyers are certified to go into court, in federal court, to practice alongside the U.S. attorneys with the cases. So that'll tell you what kind of high level of talent I've got within the office. And we're getting serious prison time for these cases. Also, when the case is not exactly a criminal case, or we feel like we can get the people's money back in their account, we take the civil route. In this last 4 years, I can tell you that we have restored over $1 billion, I'm using a B, $1 billion to North Carolina investors based upon one type of false and deceptive sales pitch that was used for North Carolina citizens. It was used throughout the country. But we made those folks put that money back in people's accounts. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a person who sold a house and wants to go to something smaller, assisted living, independent living, whatever, and want to hold on to that nest egg. They were told that this is as safe as a CD and was going to get slightly better interest, and you could get it with about 7 days' notice. That was the only hiccup, 7 days' notice. Well, come early 2008, they couldn't get it at all. Couldn't get it at all. This was not money put at risk. It was told to be safe. Sometimes it was that homeowner. Sometimes it was companies that had cash on the books. Sometimes it was like hospital foundations, college foundations, other civic organizations that had assets that they wanted to get a little bit better than CD rates, but wanted it also to be safe. Sometimes it was venture capital. When you're talking about corporations and venture capital, that's economic development. That's jobs for North Carolina. So I feel real good. It matters who your Secretary of State is, because we had the backbone to take on these kind of folks. We threatened to take one company's license here in North Carolina, a nationally known company, and I still have some management control over how they train their people because the corporate structure allowed them to make these misrepresentations when they knew they were bad. So we're watching, I'm kind of like the eagle eyes, watching over those folks. I actually don't have it myself, I have a hired professional to monitor them and reads their reports to make sure that they're giving us accurate information and doing spot checking on it. So I feel good about that. Dick mentioned lobbying. North Carolina today, I can tell you, has the strongest lobbying laws in the country. We started that in 2005 before there were any bad things, embarrassing things coming out of the General Assembly. And I'm here to tell you that law went into effect 2007. And ever since then, people have been trying to whittle back on it. I believe that open government is good government. I believe that government should be conducted in the sunshine. And there are plenty of folks down at the General Assembly that don't want you to know who they spend on, how they spend it, and would rather operate in darkness. Just this August, we got the highest grade in the country for the Center for Government Integrity on our lobbying laws. And I'm very proud of that. So that's the kind of stuff that I do as your Secretary of State. Secretary of State's offices around the country are all different. We don't do the same thing. I have the one with the most business support and law enforcement activity in it. But you know, this is an office that's elected on a partisan ballot, but I operate this office in a nonpartisan way. When somebody comes up to us or sends something to us, I don't know if they're Republican or Democrat, I don't really care. There's somebody who needs something from the state. They want to start something, they want to do business, they want to register something. We handle everybody the same. I tell the staff, treat the public the same way you'd want to be treated if the roles were reversed. So we've implemented policies. I don't know who they are. I also don't know when a corporation or a limited liability company is started. It may be a cottage crafter who only wants to sell at some street festivals in the spring and the fall, and they just want to have a corporation or a limited liability company. But it also may be somebody who has a patent pending for a great innovation that's going to change the face of technology, change the face of agriculture. It may be the next scientific breakthrough on some illness or medical device. I don't know. I don't know when they start. And sometimes they don't know. But we treat them all with the appropriate dignity and do accord that the state of North Carolina ought to issue and act for every citizen. So that's who I am. That is what I do. I am hoping to have my contract renewed.
Oh, yes.
And would appreciate you all's help. I did carry Rowan County in 2008. Can you do it again for me? I know this is a tough county for Democrats. Let me say thanks, and again thanks. Every extra vote that you can get out here in this county is one I don't have to find somewhere else. So please know that while it may be difficult to get local candidates elected, those of us that are running statewide really, really, really value what you do. The Council of State folks, we meet every week. We are running as a team. I can run through those folks for you. Tiffany?
Yep.
Have you got that brochure?
Yep.
Yep. We've prepared a brochure. It's available through your party. A lot of literature is being prepared with everybody's name on it. But you know the process, to vote for Obama, then vote for the straight Democratic ticket, then vote for the judges. But I'm proud to be running with Walter Dalton. You all know his record. Linda Coleman, who distinguished herself in the General Assembly, running for lieutenant governor. I'm the dean of the whole crowd, and they give me a hard time every once in a while. Jim Long, in his last Council of State meeting, gave me a wedge of cheese, and he said, "You're now the oldest rat in the Democratic Party." He did, in front of God and everybody, the press and everything. So, but I proudly, wear that mantle. We've got a very capable state auditor, Jeff Wood, whose opponent doesn't even have a degree in accounting, doesn't have a degree in auditing, has never done any auditing, is not a CPA. Clearly not the person who should be there. The candidate against Janet, our state treasurer, Janet Cow. Janet is a seriously trained financial manager. She has actually managed funds in Asia. She speaks fluent Mandarin Chinese. She understands the global market because she's worked in them. And her opponent wants to print North Carolina money. Okay? Wayne Goodman, our insurance commissioner. We have the lowest insurance rate of any large state in the country. We're the 8th lowest in the entire America. And we have the 8th lowest rate of any large state. The only states that have lower rates than we are like North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, Utah, where they don't have any cars or people much. They have cows and antelopes and stuff like that. They don't have people. Wayne's opponent is campaigning on the fact that he's in the industry for 30 years. He's been a lobbyist for the industry, and Wayne, I heard him say just this morning, we don't need the fox watching the hen house. The industry would like to have this state because just a $1 raise in everybody's car insurance, can you imagine how that would affect the bottom line of insurance companies? This could be a plum for them, so I need you to go out there and support Wayne. We have an excellent candidate for labor, John Brooks. He's previously served as labor commissioner, well experienced. Our Walter Smith, I am more impressed with him every day I see him. He worked for 30 years for the USDA, understands agricultural markets tremendously, has a strong emphasis on animal welfare, expanding new markets, and we've had, you can check the newspaper on some problems with the Department of Agriculture, telegraphing to various big industries here that federal people are coming and they better do stuff to change their practices right before it happened. So, again, I think you ought to give Walter. Roy Cooper, our Attorney General, doesn't have any opposition at all. Lucky dog. I don't know how it happened. I want to touch his shoes or whatever. Who have I missed? Oh, Jim Atkinson, our Superintendent of Schools. We today have the highest graduation rate ever historically in this state. And her opponent has never spent a day in the classroom, has never taken a class on education theory, and has never been the manager of a large enterprise at all. His main credential is that he serves right now on the Wake County School Board. Need I say more? That's a school system that's very much in turmoil due to some decisions that have been made down there. And Beth Wood's opponent is also on the Wake County School Board. So, my opponent is a former military guy who used to work for Blackwater. He doesn't know very much about the Secretary of State's office. We did have a joint appearance. If any of you get my emails, we put together about a 40-second clip where he says, yeah, she's doing a good job about this. The technology's really good. Even I can find stuff and I'm not a geek. Yeah, that lobbying law's good, all that stuff. And then, at the very end, when I had no chance to respond, he called me unpatriotic, un-American, and would support organizations that overthrow the government. Previously, he called me as being in a conspiracy, and the newspaper gave him a liar, pants on fire for that, because there's no basis for it whatsoever. So this individual has no boundaries. So I am not taking this one very comfortable or lightly. I'm working hard, because when you got unpredictable opponents, as all of the rest of us do, you can see that they're very short on qualifications out there. We are hopeful there's no big surprise, but you never know. You never know. So we're all going to be ready. We're going to be ready. We're all working incredibly hard. We're sharing schedules, covering for each other. Now, I've gone on too long here, but I'm going to leave you with the most important thing. Judges have to be voted for separately. You've got to know them by name. You're almost in the West here, and we have a chance to put a Western North Carolina person on the Supreme Court, that being Samuel J. Ervin IV. Jimmy is what he goes by, but this is Senator Sam's grandson, distinguished family of lawyers. He has served as a utility commissioner, which is a very sophisticated type of judge panel. He's currently on the Court of Appeals, and he is wanting to move up on the only one open seat on the Supreme Court. We have 3 incumbents who are on the bench on the Court of Appeals running for re-election. You've got to remember their names. You've got to remember Linda McGee. Remember our Lieutenant Governor's Linda? Linda. Vote for the Lindas. Wanda Bryant, I don't care what you think about Kobe Bryant, good, bad, or otherwise, remember Bryant, think of basketball. And the last one is Cressy Thigpen, and I've heard him say this. He says, think of a thick pen. But if you can't remember that, just call me Pigpen.
Right.
Vote for Judge Pigpen. Now, if we lose those 3 judges, we will have lost the 2 most senior women on the Court of Appeals. We will have lost 1/3 of the women's membership on the Court of Appeals. If we lose Wanda Bryant and Cressy Thigpen, who are both African Americans, we have lost 2/3 of the diversity on the Court of Appeals. And the offerings from the other party have no diversity whatsoever. I truly believe that our court needs to mirror our society, and I hope you do also. I really hope you do also. There's going to be a push for the conservative judges, which is kind of wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's their philosophy. Our folks have pledged, and I know are, because I do know them all and I read their opinions, fair judges. That's all you and I as citizens can ask for. Somebody who will listen to the facts of the case, look at the law, and apply it fairly. Fairly. Somebody without a predisposed bias or slant some way. That's what the judiciary depends upon for everything we believe in, all of our values in this country, that cases will be decided fairly with a hearing that everybody understands was decided on the facts and the law. That goes back to the very basis of the foundation of this country, that things don't happen because of rank or privilege or family or what have you, that it happens because the law is what it is, and here's how it applies to this case. So I've gone on way too long. You've all been very, very kind. Thank you all, but I have to do this for the rest of my teammates because it's a big statement. Big statement.
Yes.
Yep. So,